Welcome to Connected, where no topic is off topic. I am your host, Kimberly Dam. Hey loves, welcome back. This week's episode, I want to concentrate on abundance. And if abundance to you looks or feels like a certain thing, then go ahead and bring that in. So if for you right now, abundance looks like financial wealth, or if abundance for you looks like abundance in all ways, meaning like a cornucopia of love and time and freedom and comfort and all of that, bring that into your awareness. Bring that into your heart space. And there is no judgment on either or, right? Because the truth of the matter is we do live in a 3D world. We're all here living a human existence. And so money, cash flow, dollar bills, as much as we could argue that a $1 bill is the same value of a $100 bill because it costs exactly the same amount of money to print them. We're just gonna let that go for this episode, and we are just gonna focus on abundance and what my personal experiences has been around abundance, how to bring in abundance, how to sit in abundance, just how to be abundant. And going into that statement of being abundant, that is really, really important that we be abundant, because you cannot really see anything reflected in your external world unless it is already within you, right? I mean, I can sit here and say that I am $1 trillion because everything that is in our external world is created from our internal world. So I can also say that I am an African. I can also say that I am a dog. I can say that I'm pretty much anything, because you cannot have one without the other. You are all of the intelligence in the world, you are all of the beauty in the world, you are all of the abundance in the world, and you are all of the love in the world. And you, in some ways, are all of the technology in the world. So, the whole idea of being abundant, when people say, I want to be abundant, what is so funny is we concentrate on the want and the abundant, but we don't really give much weight to the actual act of being. And that is really where it starts. And I'm just gonna tell you about my journey with abundance, and I'll tell you, some of my upbringing, and my mom's, mostly my mom's, because my dad wasn't very present in my life, but my mom's her view and her perspective around money growing up, so that you kind of have a little bit of an idea. Pretty much, I would say from the time that I was born to maybe me being 7, 8, or 9, we were slightly on the poor side. But then my mom, she went to college and she got a degree in computer science. And in 1989, or actually she got her degree, I think in like 1985 or 86. And so in that time period, computer science was just starting to boom, essentially. So she got a great job. And I would say from the time that I was 9 right up until now, I would say that we were a middle-class family, just like everybody else. And would I say that I was given everything on a silver platter? No, absolutely not. My mom always, there were times in which I feel like looking back that my mom went a little overboard around Christmas. But I don't really know. It's like I kind of feel that way about us in general, living in a very consumer based society, commercial based society, capitalist society. So anyway, that kind of gives a little bit of an idea. But her perspective around money, I never really saw my mom worry about money until I was like 22, I think. Um, and I was like, close to being out of the house. Uh, she would use phrases like, we don't have the money for that right now, or things like that. But I never really saw her worry. Or if she did worry, she always had faith. Um, and I think that that is really what is important. But for not necessarily the reasons that you're thinking. Um, or maybe, I don't know. I can't read what's in your head. So anyway, yeah, I just never really saw her really worry about it. But I know that things were not always easy. So it's not like, well, she didn't worry because we were just floating in cash. I grew up with three brothers and sisters. My mom was a single parent really for the bulk of my childhood. And so she did remarry, but it wasn't for long enough really that it made that much of a financial difference until maybe the very end, in which I was like out of the house by then. So it really didn't affect me that much. But anyway, it was, I think the most important thing is that I didn't see her stress over it. And if she did, she always took it as a lesson, and she always asked herself questions around it. She kind of was like, God will come through. He always does. The money will show up, yada, yada, yada. And so what was really, really interesting is coming from that environment and that perspective. It was very interesting to me because obviously when I got married, one of the biggest things that, that stand out to you, when you're in a relationship and you're cohabitating and you're making money together is how much differentiation there can be between how a person feels and thinks about money. And my ex, what was so amazing was he was very naturally abundant. But unfortunately, he was raised in an environment where his mom did worry about money, and she vocalized it often, and he had carried part of that burden with her. But it was, really interesting because within our relationship, he would have a greater tendency to be worried about money where I would not. Um, and I think that it was, again, just because I was brought up with the idea that for one, I knew that I had a capacity. I knew that I could live with so much less and be okay. I never really worried about there not being food on the table. I also knew and always trusted that I was loved, and that my family, I could always turn to my family, and they would take care of me if it ever came down to that. It never has. For most of us, it never will. So it was really interesting seeing that kind of dynamic play out between us. And I'm hoping, we obviously grew to kind of have our own financial and abundant mentality as a couple. But it took some weaving, I guess, of the two to come together. But essentially, I've never really worried that much. I always just have trusted that, if I could sit and be abundant, that abundance would always come to me. And don't misunderstand. The last 2 years of my life, after I came out of my marriage, they have been extremely trying financially in the sense that I've worried about it. But it's been completely unfucking necessary. Because every single time I've been incredibly humbled. And I always, I remember actually sitting, this was about 2 summers ago, and I was sitting in a coffee shop here in town, and I was chatting with my friend, and I had, a part-time job at that time. I was managing my photography business, and um, I had a great savings, and I was really worried because I wasn't, I don't know, like to me, like I wasn't making enough money. Um, and in the conversation with her, I realized that a a rather great way to look at it, and to, I think, more or less honestly, if I'm to speak really, really honest, I think more or less I was creating my own anxiety over not participating in what everybody else was participating in, and which was the rat race, getting up in the morning, going to a job from 8 to 5 and making, a solid salary, and all of this, which is so funny because it's not really anything, that is not how I would build my life if I wanted it. Like I'm just not that person. I want more. I don't want more, but I want different. And so I was just kind of, I feel like I was just creating my own anxiety. But one of the ways that I decided to kind of reframe it for myself so that I wouldn't get into that trap of thinking that I was lacking was I would wake up in the morning and I would seriously, or whenever I was feeling that I was lacking, I would ask myself, but what are you lacking? And it was crazy because the minute that I could ask myself that question, I really had a very difficult time coming up with one thing. Okay, because the fact of the matter was is I had a roof over my head. I had never gone I've never gone a day hungry since I was born. And I think a lot of us have not ever experienced that. Um, I had a car, I had a transportation that was reliable. I had money to put gas in it. I had um, some beautiful people surrounding me, my friends and my family. I had abundance. I had purpose. I was waking up every day to some extent, knowing what I was supposed to be doing at that time, knowing that I was supposed to be focusing my energy on building, further building my business, and also um, diving deeper into certain areas of my spirituality. It blew my mind because I literally would sit there in bed, and I just, when I woke up, and I couldn't come up with anything that I was lacking. And I'm not saying that for you that may not be your situation. You might be lacking in one of those areas. And if you are, my heart goes to you. Um, I, I just, I would just suggest that you try to really focus on what it is that you do have, what it is that you can be grateful for, because that is essentially what happens when we start to be in a place of abundance. When we are abundant, it is so much easier for us to see that reflected into our reality. And I remembered, the next 6 months, it was really, really, I was going through a very, very difficult transitional time. And I remembered just saying, you know what, you can't worry about it, because I believe, like, worrying about it, you're still sending energy out to the universe, so it only comes back to you, right? So worry is just like, it's like a prayer, only a different kind of prayer. It's kind of like a negative prayer. And so I just remembered concentrating on what it was that I did have. And it was crazy because I could not tell you how many times people extended themselves to me. They would ask me, my friends had a gift card to go eat out to dinner. And I actually showed up intending to pay my way. And they said, no, 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 nonsense. Like, we have enough gift cards, and just going to grab coffee, again, expecting to pay my own way, and somebody offering to grab my coffee for me. And it wasn't because I was sitting there sobbing and, telling them all of my all of my worries around my finances. I just so firmly believed that it was essentially the universe just reflecting back to me like, look, you've got abundance. You are abundant. You cannot create something that you are not already. And you are everything. So when you know that, then what is money? I mean, really, what is money? It's literally just a physical manifestation of a representation of something that we have attributed the definition of like a value to. It's like, oh, if I have money, that gets me things, good things, right? But that's not always the case. Having money can also get you negative things. There's obviously disadvantages and advantages to everything. But once you understand that it's not outside of you, it is not outside of you to make money. It is not outside of you to manifest abundance and love. It is not external. It's everything that you already are. So I think it's just really important for us to maintain that state of being abundant. And it's so funny because it's not really something that you are abundant. It's not like you have to, work out to become more abundant. You already are it. And so just, ways of kind of bringing it more into your reality is just focusing on the ways that it already is your reality. It already is reality. We have the ability to grow our own food. We were placed on a planet that is so abundant, and yes, let's segment out how it's being controlled. That's another episode for another day. But if you really take a look at our environment, it is incredibly abundant. Everything that is on this earth contains abundance. It is wrapped up in you. It is wrapped up in every living creature, every being, everything that has an energetic pulse outside your door. So that is really like the greatest advice that I can give you, and to really start honing in on what belief systems you have around it. What belief systems do you have around money? Because so many of us think that we have great belief systems around money. Oh, I just want it. But do you see other people as having it as negative? Like, do you look down on those people? Do you talk bad about those people because it gives them power? Right now, we always have to be careful of that, because we know in this world that money gives people power, and that means that they can make bad decisions that aren't necessarily great for the whole, right? But be careful about that, because that might be one of your blocks as to why you don't. It's like you want money, but you might not, because you might think that it might turn you into a narcissistic asshole. Or you may think, oh, I'm spiritual. I don't need to make money. Or, I'm an artist. I don't deserve to make that much money. There's all these little blocks that we have. And some of them are rooted in our conditioning. Well, a lot of them are rooted, honestly, in our conditioning. But some of them are directly from our childhood, and they're ancestral, which means what I'm basically saying is it doesn't only come from your mother, because your mother wasn't the beginning. It can be your mother's mother, your mother's parents, your father's parents, their parents, and so on and so on and so on. So it's our job to identify those and say, what did my grandparents hold? What did my mom hold as belief systems around abundance? Are those there? Like, and are they mine or are they theirs? And can they keep them? I'm not going to keep them. They haven't served me up until now. I'm going to disregard them and I'm going to replace them with something else. And you have to replace them with something else. Something that is so important when it comes to manifestation that a lot of us do not realize is that we identify our belief systems that are bad or negative or that we don't want to have anymore, that no longer serve us, but we don't replace them with anything else. And so then there's just this void. And let me just say to you, that's not going to work. It's not going to work because your brain defaults to your old belief systems if you don't work consciously to replace them with new ones. And you do that through repetition, affirmations, hypnosis, whatever you need to do, in a sense. I mean, we say hypnosis because it's a repetitive, affirmation that you're saying over and over and over again. But I think that that's so important. We really don't acknowledge it. We're like, okay, I just want to let me clear this block around money. I'm not going to believe that anymore. That's old programming. I can be an artist and I can make six figures. I can make more than 6 figures. Money is unlimited. Abundance is unlimited. It wouldn't be called abundance if there was limits on it, because abundance is abundant. So sometimes, I mean, it's great, don't get me wrong, to put a specific belief to it if you need to. But sometimes it's great to leave it open and just be like, you know what, I can just be wealthy as fuck doing this. Done. Or better yet, I will. Or better yet, I am. It's so funny because I remembered talking to one of my friends about manifestation. And I said to him, he was saying, I can. And I said, well, how about replacing I can with I will? And then what's so funny is I actually have discovered myself that no. I will is not good enough. I am. Not I can be wealthy, not I will be wealthy. I am fucking wealthy. I am a fucking millionaire. I am valuable. I am an artist. I am whatever you want to be. Whatever you already are. We talk about wants, but what we don't understand is whenever you talk about something that you want, you already are coming from a place of lack. Because you're not acknowledging that it's already there. You already have it. You're just closing the time-space continuum. You're just closing the gap. Think about it. If you were to look, if time was linear, which it's not, but if time was linear, where would I can be in relation to I will, in relation to I am? Why wait? That's the other thing, by the way. Manifestations don't take time. We need to stop that thinking right there. We all have this thing, oh, well, yes, because people have told us it takes time to get things. No, it doesn't. I really don't think it does. Look, you can have your own opinion about that, but we see it happen all the time. We are insanely powerful. I think that we honestly just don't give enough credit to our energy. And we have to actually believe these things. These are not things that we can just say, and that does take time. So obviously have compassion with yourself because it takes time. And I would say that if anything takes time, it's that, not the actual manifestation of the thing that you are trying to bring into your being. It's you letting go in reframing and essentially rewiring your brain, which then rewires your physiology, which then rewires your energetic field. That is what takes time. Sort of. Because you can do it right now. You can do it right now. But I think we all know that we're human. We trip up, we remember old programming, this is all part of it. It's all part of it. We never arrive. Because we're already there. It takes a lot of commitment. Okay. Wow. It's such a great topic. And honestly, I could talk about it forever. And I am actually sweating right now because whenever I'm like sweating, I feel like this is so important for people to understand. I think it's like so important too for people to understand, particularly, I think today I was specifically called to talk about this because a lot of us, including myself, we are in a holding pattern. There are, if I am blatantly honest, you guys, there were a lot of dreams that I had for 2020 that I will most likely not get to execute. And what's so funny is I really don't hold tight to my dreams. I really, really don't. I would actually say that, I'm not really so much of a goal setter. I more or less just know how I want to feel. And therefore, I just kind of, there's certain things that I wanted to do. I wanted to go to Nepal this year. I wanted to further grow my business and do things like that. But we're all of us are in this holding pattern right now. A lot of us are unemployed. A lot of us are feeling the pressure. And I just want to remind you that, what is happening in our external world, we think that we're being controlled. We think that our freedom, to some extent, is being taken away. And in some ways, that is very true, and that needs to be paid attention to. Okay? Like, I don't want to sit here and completely disengage from the 3D world that we're in. But I also want you to understand that you have the power to change that. And you not only have the power, you need to think about in terms of not only do you have the energetic power, but energy can flow from us in many different ways. It flows in terms of like vibration, frequency. It flows in terms of us opening our mouth and speaking our truth. It flows in us, taking a stand. It flows from us in offering our purpose, offering our services to those to maybe help further whatever cause we feel aligned with. It's all energy. Any action is energy. So we just have to remember that, yes, to some extent, our freedoms are being a little challenged right now. But at the same token, it does come down to you. You're the one that decides. You are the one who makes that decision. Because, my love, you were placed on this planet with free will. And if it is not your choice, you would not have been given that. So, you have the ability to create abundance in your life right now just as much as you ever have before. It's always there, and it's always available to you. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there. I want to thank you always for listening. And if you guys have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, feel free to drop me a line at connectedpodcast.us@gmail.com. I wish you the best. Take care.